So for this series, we're going to create an application that allows the user to generate 10 random numbers like that. Then we are able to get the mean, the median, the highest number, the lowest number. We are able to sort from the lowest to the highest. We are able to sort from the highest to the lowest. And we are able to get the mode and the frequency of the number. Obviously, all the numbers here appear once. That's why it says all numbers appear once. That's just a text that I have in there. If we are to read it, the mode is 92 and the frequency is twice. So there you see it. If we sort it from lowest to highest, the mode is 92 and it appears twice. So in this application, I also have some error handling in place so that a user cannot get the mean, the median, the highest or lowest, or the mode, or even sort anything without the 10 random numbers being generated first. So if I want to click that, an error text will appear there. If I do that, so nothing will, all these buttons won't work until the random numbers are generated, and now everything will work fine. So let's get started with the first part of the series, and that will be to create the UI for the entire application. So guys, if you do end up enjoying this series and want to see more tutorials like this in Unity and C#, please hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell notification so that you can be informed when I do upload more series or videos like this. Hey guys, so I just created a new project in Unity. I already have my scene ready for me to start. If you do not know how to create a new project in Unity, please check one of my previous videos where I go in depth in that. So the first thing you want to do here is create a canvas. So we get a nice big canvas. Then the next thing we want to do is right click, go down to UI and select image. We're going to go over into the inspector. We're going to hold on Shift and Alt and click the bottom right tab where it will stretch the background image to fill the canvas up. So we're going to go into the image and rename it to background image. So I already selected a color that I wanted to use as my background, and I just pasted my color in here. You could select whatever color you want. The next thing we want to do is right click on canvas and get our UI set up. So we want to have a text mesh pro, and in my previous tutorials I explained why we use text mesh pro. I'll leave a link below in the description if you guys want to go and check out those videos as well. Okay, once that's imported, we're going to close that and set this up on top. We want to just stretch this out a bit, and then we want to rename this to something like generate numbers text. So we're going to fill in this text box with text saying please click on generate random numbers button. Then we're going to go into its inspector. We're going to just align that to the center. Okay, that looks good. The next thing we want to do is add in that button, that generate random button. So we're going to go into the canvas, we're going to right click, go all the way down to UI, and we're going to be using a text mesh pro button. We're going to select that, we're going to drag it all the way up. Then we're going to go use our multi tool. We're going to click in the center and then just stretch that out a bit so it looks nice and big. Then we're going to rename this button to generate random numbers button. Then obviously we want to change the text on the button, so we're going to expand the button. We're going to select the text, we're going to go into its inspector, and we're going to change the text here to say generate 10 random numbers. Okay, obviously it doesn't fit in there, so we're going to go down in its inspector and we're going to go down to font size and bring that font size down a bit just so that everything fits nicely in the button. And maybe we want to make that bold so it stands out. Okay, that's done. The next thing we need is a text area so that our 10 random numbers can display. So let's do that quickly. We're going to go right click on our canvas. We're going to select UI, Text Mesh Pro. We're going to drag that up, move it to the left, and then we're going to select our rect tool, stretch that all the way across. Then in here will be our 10 random numbers. It could be 10, 11, 12, whatever the case is, but for our video we're going to work with 10 or 11 numbers, right, for our tutorial. So what we want to do is just populate this now with 10 dummy numbers just to see how it's going to look. We'll obviously delete this once we get to that stage so that it'll populate with our 10 random numbers. Okay, so that's 3, 6, 9, 10. Then we're going to go down into inspector and align that to the center. That looks good. We're going to rename this text as random numbers text holder. Then the next thing we want to do is we need a sort from lowest to highest and a sort from highest to lowest button. So let's do that quickly. We can just duplicate this button that we already have. So the shortcut is to Control and D, or we could right click and click duplicate. Let's rename this to sort lowest highest button, and then we want to click our multi-tool and just move that over. We want to expand that, change the text of the button, so we're going to say sort lowest to highest. Okay, that looks good. Then we want to do this one more time, so we can say Control D to duplicate, rename this to sort highest to lowest. Okay, we're going to select the button, we're going to move that over, we're going to expand it to change the text, so we're going to change the text to highest to lowest. Right, the next thing we need is 4 buttons on the left hand side, to one button to say get mean, one button to get the median, one button to get the highest number, and one button to get the lowest number. And then on this side we need to get one button to get the mode, and we want to display the mode and the frequency on the side. So let's generate the 4 buttons here on the left hand side first. We could use the same buttons, just duplicate them. So we'll click on the random button, we'll Control D, we're going to rename this to get mean button. I'm going to select it, move it down, and I also want to move it a bit left because we have text that's going to fill in there. Then we want to change the name on the button to say get mean. I'm going to duplicate this button 3 more times. That's 1, 2, 3. The second button I want to rename it to get median button, and the third one's going to be renamed to get highest number button, and the last button on the left hand side is going to be named as get lowest number button. Okay, so we're going to click on the median button, we're going to bring that down a bit. We're going to click on the highest number, we're going to bring that down. The lowest number, we're going to bring that button all the way down. Then we're going to start changing the names of the button. We're going to expand the get median button, click on the text component, go to its inspector and rename this to get median. We're going to do the same for highest number. and we're going to do the same for the lowest number. Okay, so let's just take care of the text that's going to populate for the actual mean, median, and the highest and lowest number quickly. So we could create a empty game object as a holder and then have the button and the text as a child object of that. But for now, I'm just going to right click on the canvas, go to Text Mesh Pro. I'm going to align this up with the get mean button. I'm going to rename this text to get mean text holder. Then I want to obviously bring this text size down a bit. I want to align it to the center like that, and the text that I want to fit in here will be awaiting random numbers, because I need the user to obviously generate the random numbers first before they do anything else in this application. Then we're going to go over and select our rect tool, just stretch that out a bit so it fits nicely in there, and then we're going to duplicate this 3 times more. So let's left click on get mean text holder, duplicate that 3 times, so that's Control D, 1 2 3. We can change the name of this to get median text holder. We'll select that, grab our multi-tool, bring that down, align it nicely with the get median button. Do the same for the highest number, we do the same for the lowest number. Okay, and then we need the button on the right hand side to say get mode. So we're going to duplicate one of these buttons. Let's duplicate the get mean button. We're going to select get mean button, Control D to duplicate. We're going to rename this to get mode button. We're going to select it and move it all the way to the right hand side. We're going to expand it, click on the text component, go in its inspector and change the text on the button to get mode. While we're here, we could also just size the button because we don't need it to be so big, or we could leave it to be that big just so that all the buttons are uniform size. Then we're going to need a text for the mode and the text for the frequency. So let's do that quickly. We could just duplicate one of these texts. So let's duplicate the get mean text holder. We'll Control D once, rename it to get mode text holder, select it and move it all the way there to the right hand side. And then just so that everything can fit nicely here, I'm going to reduce the font size a bit on the get mode text holder. I'm going to select the rect tool just to bring that in a bit so that it fits nicely. So for the get mode text holder, I want to have one for the mode and one for the frequency. So I'm just going to duplicate this get mode text holder once more. I'm going to rename this as mode text. I'm going to select it, select my multi-tool and then just move it over, and then in its inspector I'm going to type in mode. I'm going to make that bold. Then I'm going to grab my rect tool just to size this up nicely so we're not wasting space, and then align it up. Okay, that looks good. Then what I want to do is duplicate this mode text and rename this to frequency text. I want to select that and drag it down. I'm going to rename this as frequency. Then I'm going to grab my rect tool and just stretch that out a bit so that it fits nicely there. Okay, so I also need a text holder for my frequency, so I'm going to grab my get mode text holder. I'm going to duplicate that. I'm going to rename this to get frequency text holder. So guys, obviously when you're doing your real project or for production, you want to have something where you have some structure. So like have parent empty objects and then have it grouped up so you know where your text or objects are on your screen. But for this tutorial, I think that's out of scope. So let's continue. So I'm going to grab my multi-tool, drag this text down. Okay, that looks good. Lastly, what we're going to need is a error message text holder just to display up here when the user tries to get the mean without generating a random number, or tries to get the mode without generating the random number, or any of the other buttons. So let's do that quickly. We'll right click on canvas, go down to UI, select Text Mesh Pro. We'll bring that up a bit, move that to the left, and we'll want to just resize that down a bit, align it to the center and to that center. And all I want to say in here is, please generate random numbers first. I'll grab my rect tool and just stretch that out, and then I just want to change the color to something like blue. You could change it to red or anything that you want to. Okay, so that's our UI taken care of. That's how it looks in our game mode. In our next video, we're going to work on generating the 10 random numbers. So let's get that started.